Some tools are good for animal fusion like this. Other tools are good for stylizing like this. And some tools are good for becoming a completely separate character
like this. In this one, I'm going to show you all of the coolest AI effects and which tools you need to pull them off.
And by the end of this video, you're going to know exactly how to create all kinds of cool effects along with the clips that you're watching right now.
Let's get into it.
So first of all, let's talk about cloning yourself. Here I'm in a tool called Crea. And what I would do here is come to this little button called train, drag in all of my reference images to create an AI version of myself. So as we can see, I have one of me, one of Kira, one of Sierra. And so if I were to click use with Flux, now I can just go ahead and type in my prompt. I'm going to say a man as a Viking. Let's see what happens. And so obviously I'd have to be a bit more specific with my prompt to get a proper output, but you get the idea. Peak effects are one of the most simple and basic ways that you can add interesting effects to your video clips. For example, here's one where I'm getting sliced like a cake. Here's one where I'm melting, and there is all kinds of other interesting effects that you can do. If I come down here to peak effect, then we can scroll through all of these different effects that I can apply to my video clips. So in this case, I generated Kira as a Knights Templar type of character. Then I brought her into Kling AI, and I just used the prompt, a woman reaches out toward the camera with one hand. The reason I use Kling 1.6 is because it generally has the best quality and it generally has the best prompt adherence. From here, I just took a snapshot of her arm outstretched like this. And then coming into Pika Art, I'm going to add the image. So now I have that snapshot in here. Then I'm going to click Pika Effect. And here, I'm just going to come down to the dissolve effect right here. And now I can click generate. And after doing that, here's what we got. And so for me personally, I'm not going to be using Pika as my primary video tool, but it can come in handy with these, specific Pika effects. Fusion is one of the most popular effects for AI content creators. It's super popular on TikTok and Instagram Reels and YouTube Shorts. And so this is a tool that shows me all of the most popular types of AI content. I'm going to click this one called Hybrid and Fusion, and I'll sort this by the highest performing Fusion videos over the last 30 days, which, by the way, I have a full demonstration on this tool. You can check that out down in the description below. But here now I can see the highest performing Fusion videos over the last 30 days. So let's just take a look at this one, for example, and we'll likely see this man transform into a flamingo hybrid of sorts. And so, yeah, as you can see here, these things are kind of just fusing together like so. Now, generally, Luma Dream Machine is the most popular tool for creating fusion-based videos. Luma, for whatever reason, simply does the best job when it comes to fusing two images together. However, at the moment, I don't actually have a subscription to Luma, so instead, I'm going to come into Crea. And again, this is the same tool that I used to clone myself, but in this case, I'm going to come to generate. We're going to go to video. And now down here on the bottom left, I can switch the video model to Luma. And now I can essentially use Luma through Crea's interface. However, before I do that, I obviously need some images. So I'm going to come back here and click image. And here I can set the aspect ratio. If you're doing, TikTok or Instagram, you would want to use 9:16. In this case, since I'm doing a YouTube video, I'm going to do 16:9. I'll put in my prompt here, and now I can start generating some images. Okay, so after doing that, I have a guy and some flamingos, and I also created some kind of hybrid flamingo monster thing. And so in this case, I'll be using this as image 1, and then I will be using this as image 2. So now back in the video section, I'm gonna bring in my first image there, and then I'll bring in my second image here. And so after doing that, here's one of the outputs that I got here. Here's another output right there, and I created a handful of others just to sort of see what types of options we would have here. I think most of them came out pretty good. Obviously, I can continue to play around with the prompt to get different outputs here. In this case, I just had a super simple prompt that says a man merges with a flamingo. In any case, that's the basic idea on how to do fusion. face fusion is a technique used to retain consistent characters. So for example, here I have some different images of me as this, sort of dragon warrior, whatever. And what I normally like to do is run these images through Magnific because it adds a lot of detail and realism with this upscale. But the obvious problem here is that it's doing a really good job, making the image look more realistic and adding a lot of detail, but it's turning me into a completely different person. In order to fix that, I use this tool called Pinocchio, which allows you to basically install and run all kinds of open source AI tools. And so in this case, I'm going to be using this one here called Face Fusion. And once you get Face Fusion installed, it's going to look something like this. So in this case, what I'm going to do is drag in a reference image here at the top. Then I'm going to drag in my upscaled image from Magnific. And so here in the upper right, we can see a preview where it's actually put my face back on to this character. And so now I just have to come down and click start. And now it's actually went ahead and added my face back onto the character. And so here on the left is the character before Face Fusion, and here on the right is the character after Face Fusion. Another thing to note is that Face Fusion works really well on video as well. So say, for example, I ran this clip through Kling AI and my face became distorted or it changed me into somebody else. Well, I could simply download this video clip and drop it into Pinocchio and it will work the same way, putting my face back on to this video clip. But what if the character needs to talk and act out a scene like this? Now, there's a lot of tools that allow you to do lip sync. Even in Kling AI right here, I can come to lip sync and I can add, some audio or a voice to this character. However, using Runway's Act 1 will give you much better results. So in this case, I'm basically just uploading a clip of myself acting out that portion of the script. Then I'm going to upload the scene right here. And so on the top we have this, but what if the character needs to talk and act? And on the bottom we have this. And so now it's basically going to take my speech and my facial movements and it's going to apply it to this scene down here. And so after doing that, here's what we got. But what if the character needs to talk and act out a scene like this? Now, I could take that previous step a bit further, which is good for becoming a completely separate character
like this.
So here on Photoshop, all I did here was bring in a snapshot of the video that I'm recording right now. And then I'm going to just type in remove character. And now it should hopefully just take me out of the screen. And now I'll just bring in the picture of our character, Kira. Remove background, and now I can just fit her in like so. Then I brought that image into Kling AI just to sort of bring it to life like this. And so now coming into Runway, if I come to start a new session right here, I'm going to select Act 1, and this is how I can essentially make her act out that section of the script. So first, I'm going to bring in that section of myself speaking right here. Then I'm going to bring in that clip of Kira right here. And so now what we have is this right here, becoming a completely separate character like this, which looks really good in terms of the lip sync, but the obvious problem is that she is still using my voice. And so in order to fix that, I'm here in 11 Labs and I'm going to come to voice changer right here. And I just brought in that little video section right there. And here's obviously where I can choose whatever voice that I want. In this case, I'm just going to go ahead and use this one, Allison. I'll just hit generate and here's what we got.
Becoming a completely separate character like this.
And so now here in Premiere Pro, if I take our new voice right here, I'm going to replace the old voice there. And after doing that, here's what we got.
Becoming a completely separate character like this. And this is obviously good for situations where you want your character to have certain facial expressions like this, or if you want them to raise their voice really high like this or go down like this, depending on what situation might be happening in the scene.
Now, Runway is also famous for its video-to-video stylization function. So here I'm in the prompt section and I uploaded this clip of Kira riding the horse again. And if I come down here on examples, there's a bunch of different example prompts that I can use. And so in this case, just clicking on the 90s cartoon, it's going to automatically put in that style, but now I can add the actual prompt right here, which is, in this case, just says a woman wearing a fur coat rides a horse. And after doing that, I ended up with this clip right here, which I think looks pretty cool. Just for fun, I typed in a monkey riding an elephant just to see what Runway does with this. And so here's what we got with that, which is pretty strange looking overall, but I think it did a pretty interesting job here. But really what this allows you to do is film all kinds of scenes. For example, you could be running around in your living room and then change that to be a dynamic, scene in a battlefield or whatever you want it to be. And so from filming this scene in the bedroom talking on the mic, I can now convert that into a soldier in a bunker, or basically whatever I can imagine. I can turn that scene into something else. But then I can take the face fusion technique from earlier, and after doing that, we have this clip right here, which I definitely need to take a shower and shave, but what do you expect living in a bunker? And so using the tools and techniques that I talked about on this video will literally give you the ability to create anything that you can imagine. However, if you want to learn all of the best tools, strategies, that's pretty much it for this one, and I will see you in the next video.